going to give some great examples of how control happens, and I'm using them all from the the 20-year series Hell's Kitchen, however many seasons it was. It is perfect because the producers who
did you say producers?
I did edit that out. The producers who came up with this show. I'm not blaming Gordon Ramsay because I love the guy.
Yeah.
My wife got me for my birthday a Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, you sent me the
jacket,
photo.
the exact one he wears. It's amazing. Anyway, so Hell's Kitchen, they use so many control techniques that are used by cults.
Okay.
We're going to whistle through these fairly quickly.
And I've not watched the show, so I'm just going to let you talk.
He's not
there you
watching.
go. Hell's
This
Kitchen.
is raw.
So for anyone else who hasn't, my understanding of it is it's kind of like a cooking reality show, competition.
Yeah.
People are competing for
Teams are competing.
Teams are competing.
To have a very high $250,000 a year chef's position in a premier restaurant.
All right. So these guys are under enormous pressure.
Yeah.
They've got to perform.
In the performery. Yeah.
All right.
And so the first one is a charismatic and powerful leader. Cults and governments use that.
So Gordon Ramsay would play that role in this particular show.
Absolutely.
Everyone looks up to him.
The guy's charismatic. He was a soccer player. He's a professional soccer player. He's super fit.
Was? Wow.
Yeah, he's kept his fitness. His son's a Royal Marine, but he's very charismatic. He's got an unusual look. He's in your face. He's very strong. And that is immediately going to give him prestige, which we know as hypnotist does what?
Well, that prestige makes you more hypnotic. I mean, it gives you the ultimate authority. It creates heteroaction going into any situation.
You said that so well. I'm going to give you the special blessing.
All right.
Lucci.
Lucci, there we go.
Look. The other one is browbeating and insults. The show, apparently they bleep out all the swearing on the Food Network, but they don't when you watch it on, I guess it's Amazon Prime.
Like Amazon Prime. So there's just tons of swearing.
Just off the scale.
Beep, 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 beep,
But
beep.
he's
Morse
just
code.
so furious, and he browbeats them. He calls them idiots. He tells them that this meal looks like, baby's diarrhea, and just all of this. But it did. I mean, to be fair, it actually did look, I've heard.
Okay.
So the browbeating and the insults knock people down. He's looking for people who are going to fight back. He said that before. But it forces people into unresourceful ego states.
Okay, now, of course, this wouldn't work if it was only done in that manner. Like if all he did was abuse people.
Wouldn't work at all. I will get to that. That's very good spotting.
Well,
and I'd like to point out for the record, if you and I were on that show, we wouldn't take it.
No, we would just
neck cranks,
elbow strike.
Yes, thank you, Gordon.
Tiger
I love
claw.
them. Now, another thing they do is they keep people off balance in this show and in cults and so on. They keep them off balance. They're sometimes woken in the middle of the night, like 3 a.m. with horrendous noises blasting and speakers. Oh, firefighters are here. The restaurant's full of 100 firefighters. You got to make breakfast for them.
Oh,
and there's
nice.
Dressing at 3 a.m.
Planned in advance.
Of course.
Yeah.
So when you're kept off balance, so you don't know what's coming up, it makes you very, very easy to control.
Weird.
Also, with telling people they're crap, they're useless. See, when one team gets a reward in Hell's Kitchen, they are taken out. They might fly them to Las Vegas for the day. They're put in a suite at Paris, Las Vegas that you can't imagine to see it. And there's food there and all this stuff. They have the best day. Then they go on a shopping spree. They're each given $1,000 cash to buy new clothes.
Nice.
Meanwhile, the other team that didn't win the challenge, they're forced to clean the kitchen, clean the dorms, unload trucks full of ice.
So there's your opposites
of the
spectrum.
Punishment and reward, back and forth. Again, maintaining the off balance.
Not just not winning, but being subjected
Losing.
to have to do all the crap.
Absolutely losing. So it's the carrot and the stick.
Okay.
Rewards, massive rewards, and horrible punishments as well. Now, what this does, Chris, is it causes a bifurcation between the two groups, the red team and the blue team, so they hate each other even more. Sleep deprivation, Hell's Kitchen. Do you know they're in there for about 5 weeks to do one season?
That is so long.
They get an average of about 5 hours sleep a night.
That's not enough sleep. I mean, it's
even for you.
That's not the level that, let's say, if you were
sleeping,
if you were obviously abusing someone and depriving them, you'd probably give them 2 hours or something. Like when they want to interrogate someone or whatever in terrorist situations. What do they give you? They don't let them sleep for 48 hours, 60 hours plus whatever. But this is almost like just enough to I just said it again, like just enough to feel like you're maybe sort of rested, but definitely not adequate.
Degradation. This degrades people and breaks their humanity.
Okay.
So they don't feel the power to resist. Classic example, Hell's Kitchen. They kept screwing up on the scallops. Now, scallops I love.
Yeah.
But Gordon Ramsay is a perfectionist with food. And they'd come back and he'd go,
scallops are difficult too, right?
this is effing raw because the pans aren't hot enough. If you want to be hot enough to get the crispy outside, if they're not getting the crispy outside, they keep cooking them too long.
And then
they
get
become overcooked. So
yeah.
they ruined like about 80 scallops trying to get these done. And of course, he's yelling at them to hurry up, which makes them cook them incorrectly again. You know what the punishment was for the losing team?
No.
Scott, who's Gordon Ramsay's sort of heavy. I like this guy. He's got hair like mine, and he's really interesting. He's the sous chef. He helps with everything. But Gordon Ramsay walked out of the kitchen. He was so mad. He said, I'm leaving. I'm done. Walked out through the entire restaurant, through everybody eating, and Scott just automatically walks out with him as his heavy, which is just freaking great. Now, look, as an 8, I love that.
And what was the punishment, though?
The punishment was
Get to the point.
Scott, the heavy, had them all sit down, the losing team. He brought out all the scallops that they had ruined. There's about 80 of them, I think. Put them in a frickin' blender, blended them, and they all had to drink them. And some were almost raw. Some just drink about a 12 to 14 ounce glass of scallops.
So if you, not you
which is what makes
specifically,
the show so damn entertaining.
So if one, I'm going to change the way I refer to people. Not if you, if one was to degrade someone enough that they don't feel that they are important on a relative basis, this is not an absolute scale. Relative to the controller, they feel inferior, really inferior.
Down.
Therefore, they will not challenge these punishments.
No, and you know how
feel the strength
here's the cleverness of avoiding the challenge. He urges them to leave and quit.
Oh, and then
to get a polarity response. So he says, "You're done, aren't you? You're through. You got nothing left. Do you want to get out? You want to go home? No, chef, I don't." And then they rally again.
This, by the way, is a really good example of the no. It's in a sense a no set. Yes
Pretty
sets
much.
and no sets are so related in my mind. A yes set, we get somebody to agree with us by saying yes, so that we smooth the way towards whatever's next. In a no set, we actually still get them to agree with us by saying no. And in this case,
it discharges resistance.
Yeah, it discharges resistance. And another way of using it might be, I think we learned this from Chris Voss in hostage negotiation discussions in his book, Never Split the Difference. So say something like, would it be ridiculous to think that I should expect a good experience? That's not ridiculous.
And they say no. And by saying no, they now feel in control again.
Right. So
even though they're not.
And in this case, it's a challenge for them to do something. And they say no, which means Cialdini principle of commitment and consistency. You've said you're not quitting. Therefore, not only do you feel you're stacking influence techniques here, right? You're inferior and you haven't quit. You've committed to not quitting.
I think we got the point.
Drink the darn scallops.
You don't have to hammer it into the rectum.
There you go.
We got the point.
Right.
Okay. Blaming people in front of the group. He will say, you, come here. Oh, and he crooks his finger like, come here, all of you. And they have to come over and say, try this. This is raw. You know, I'm not going on. So anyway, this what happens is, look what she did, you idiot. He browbeats them in front of the group, which is very, very powerful psychologically.